Bingo for playing fetch with me.
I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for my friends. I'm thankful for the things I have. The thank yous never end. What are you thankful for? What are you thankful for? What are you thankful for?
Mommy, for making me laugh.
Mommy for making yummy snacks.
For Mom, for tucking me in at night.
I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for my friends. I'm thankful for the things I have. The thank yous never end. What are you thankful for? What are you thankful for? What are you thankful for?
Daddy for taking us on trips.
Dad, for teaching me how to swim.
Daddy for playing songs for me.
I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for my friends. I'm thankful for the things I have. The thank yous never end. What are you thankful for? What are you thankful for? What are you thankful for?
For my sharks, for making bath time fun.
For my paints, for making everything colorful. For my blocks, for helping me learn.
I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for my friends. I'm thankful for the things I have. The thank yous never end. What are you thankful for? What are you thankful for? What are you thankful for?
Seeing the animals on the farm.
Fun in the
Good evening, folks. What a start. Just being thankful for everything that I have, the world has given me. And just a quick show to say thank you to everyone who's been a part of this show. And it's exactly a year ago that I started this just for the fun of it and have come a long way on an evening that, on a day that I have decided that, that I have decided to take up this challenge which is called the Stay Sober October. That's a challenge that I have undertaken, and today is what, just 14 days in the month, and another 14 days to go to complete the challenge, which is a hard task. So for the first time in my life, I'm doing the show being complete sober. It's a great achievement, and I hope most of you can join me too along this journey. It's a tough task to go along. And by the way, how are you doing, folks? I hope everybody is doing well and staying safe. As we all know, these are unprecedented times, and we need to take care of one another. And as I said, this is all what I started exactly a year back, and just for the fun of it. Then it became a integral part of it, part of my life, and just going back, when you think of it, it's all started at a time that I wasn't really sure of what to do with myself, a little disillusioned, uh, being out of focus. And then one day that I was just having a drink with my good friend and colleague Avishka Gunawardana, and he just said, "Manage," he called me fondly, and why don't you just do a talk show? And it's how it all started. And so on this day, I thought that I should take this opportunity to thank all those people who stood by me along this journey and being a part of the show. Just to say thank you for all what you have done, for your contribution, your time, your energy, and your wisdom, and all that put together. That's a looking back, absolutely no regrets for doing this. I learned a lot of things talking to a lot of people. The learning never stops, and as I always say, the more I learn, the less I know. So still a long way to go. Haven't done a show for a while since the last one, that due to the commitments, various commitments that I had. Uh, but that's the way it goes. Sometimes that when I first started, the people complained that perhaps there was a bit of an overkill, because had so many people wants to join the show, and nobody actually rejected my invitation. That most of the people whom I invited and asked them to come on the show, and most of them, I would say 90% of the people, they accepted my invite, and they were part of the show. And yes, it's all started with Avishka Fernando. To start with, I think you're the first one to say thank you, and for being there not only once. I think along the last 12 months, he appeared on the show twice. And thank you, Avi, for everything, and I wish you well in your future endeavors. Then after after Avishka's show, I moved on to, I think, Asanga Seneviratna. That was, he was my second guest, and had million. I remember that during that show that we had a lot of technical issues. I wasn't technical savvy, didn't know much, how to go about. And Tommy was there as always, guiding me, and we had some anxious moments during the show. I remember the telephone stand coming down, the connection going down, and had a lot of difficulties along during that show. It was a little unfortunate because Asanka had so much to contribute as a sports personality and a administrator, entrepreneur. He had so much to contribute. So sorry, Asa Sene, and if that show was if I messed up, and but overall that was a good show. And then from there, so we were discussing whom we are going to have next on the show. And so I was, after just two shows and having two sports personalities, I thought I should do something out of the ordinary. Uh, then I decided to have Rosanna Flema Caldera, completely in a different perspective, out of sports, and decided to talk about activity that she strongly believes in. And Rosanna was absolute, a breeze. That show that I still remember that I was very anxious and very nervous talking to Rosanna. I didn't know how to go about, and I didn't know Rosanna personally until I met her. And I wanted to wear a bandana during the show. I was pretty conscious. I had just taken my hair off, and I wanted to wear this bandana. And still remember Rosanna telling me, if you do that, I will slap you in the middle of the show. You better not. I said, oh my God, here we go. That it's going to be one hell of a show. True to her word, Rosanna was brilliant. That was an extraordinary show, because I haven't done anything like that. I didn't know what to ask her. I had to be very careful in what I say to her. But she put me at ease, and she handled the entire show really well. Then from there, I just wanted to do again something different. And I remember talking to Pastor Kirby, and that was another show that there was a time that Kirby was under the pump, and there was a lot of discussion on on social media. Just people saying things about Kirby and his beliefs and what he does, and so there were several areas that we wanted to clarify. And I got Kirby online, and thank God, it happened to be a brilliant show. I think we managed to clear lots of people's minds, and the perception the people had on Kirby, and it was a great show. And then from there onwards, I decided to get back to my normal, where my strong area is, getting back to sports. And I decided to have a chat with Priyanta Ekanayaka. Pri was an absolute breeze. That's the time. I still remember Pri walking into my humble home, and I didn't have this sophisticated software. I didn't have any external mics or cameras or anything. And Pri just sat next to me. It was simply on FB Live, and he just breezed through the entire show. And it was amazing that I didn't have to do much talking. with Pri coming online. And thank you, Pri, for being there. And I have known Pri from my school days, and he became a family friend. And I hopefully that I will bring Pri back to another show because he has so much to talk. That he has so much to offer, and people should listen to Priyantha Ekanaka. And Priyantha from rugby moved on to baseball. Now he's in charge of baseball. He's doing a fantastic job there, and very difficult guy to get hold of. And hopefully that I'll have Pri on the show sooner than later. Then from there, that I went on to, I think it's swimming iconic, Julian Bowling, you know, perhaps arguably the one of the best swimmers this country ever produced. And Jules had a lot to offer, and it was very nice of Jules to have come all the way and just to sit in front of me and to have a chat with Julian. And Julian, my regrets, when I wrote on Facebook that when I thanked everyone, the earlier the notification, I accidentally left out Jules' name, and my regrets, I'm sorry. And this list goes on and on. Just I need to check who came online thereafter. There were so many during that 12 months who came on the show. Don't want to miss out anybody like what I did earlier. Then I had my good mate and international entertainer Chitral Somapala. I interviewed Chitral at his home, and he was humble enough to host all of us, me, myself, and the crew. And that he started off with the brilliant rendition of one of his originals on the piano. Again, we had some technical issues, during that show, but Chitra, being the ultimate, the professional, he carried on without any more lapses. He came along, and he's a famous bat maker, the only bat maker in the country. He's got a funny name, Sahan. Wait for it, Dick Madhu Godage. That's his name. Sahan came on the show, and that he breezed along, just like the other. I'm glad that I gave the boy the opportunity. Now I can see him going places and making bats for lots of kids, in the rural areas, and lots of senior players also have started using his bats. So Sahan, thank you very much for being on the show. Then thereafter, I had so many on the show. Rajita Rupa Singha from Misty. Yes, Raji was on the show. It was great having Raji. And then came along that I think I had Deepa Ravindran, all the way from Malaysia. She came on the show. Jason Aga, we are listening. Thanks, mate. Thanks for being there. Thanks for being a part of the show. Dominic, cheers to you too, mate. Good to have you on the show. And Deepa came along, and then Dr. Romy Kiano was on the show, and it was very enlightening, very insightful chat that we had about the COVID. I think that we spoke about this pandemic in a different way. That when everybody was was panicking, the pandemic has just hit the world, and how to go about. Dr. Kiano had a different view. He always believed that the only way that we can get over this pandemic, to have a holistic approach, which I think is the way to go about. And thank you, doctor, for being on the show. And then came along none other than Mr. Siddharth Vettamuni, one of the best shows that I ever had. Thank you, Siddharth. Just one call that he was on holiday, and I still remember that it was during the lockdown that he was stuck in Kandy. He has gone for a golf tournament, and he just got stuck and he couldn't get back home. And from Kandy, he decided to do the show. That it was a very hard task, getting some of these senior statesmen in the world, on a talk show like this. They were not very technically savvy, and they had their issues, coming on social media, getting them to open an account, and just to come on the show. But they all obliged, and it's wonderful. And I think Siddharth, I was just like, I had absolutely nothing to say to him. He took over the show, and I think it was one of the most successful shows that I had. He put me on the map as a talk show host, and that was that. That was brilliant. And having Siddharth Vettamuni, and thank you very much, Siddharth. I can see Deepa online, and it's I'll bring Deepa just for a short while, just to have a chat with Deepa to find out what's happening in Malaysia. Okay, Deepa has gone off. Hopefully that she will join me once more. Thereafter, we had host of coaches coming on my show that just after Siddharth Vettamuni, I think I had Tab Watmore on the show. Tab was absolutely brilliant. What a guy he is, down to earth human being. He had so much to offer during that show. It was an absolute pleasure talking to him. And just prior to Tab Watmore, I think Adam Holyoke. If I don't mention Adam's name, that the mutual respect that he had for me and that I had for him for having represented England in cricket, a captain, and he's a martial artist, and he's the whole deal, and that without any hassle, any fuss that decided to come on the show, he batted on. Thank you, Adam, if you're listening in. I hope you're well, mate, and staying safe. Deepa is back online, just to get to say hi to Deepa. Let's see whether we could get Deepa for a moment. Good to see you, Deepa. How are you doing?
Hi, Charit.
Hi,
I'm good. How are you?
Good. She's okay. She's finally she got herself a new brand new computer, and she's trying it out for the first time. So I'm sure that Deepa will sort out her technical issues as usual. Talking of Tab Watmore, was followed by Graham Ford, and it was another difficult task to get hold of Graham during his busy schedule. He too was in a lockdown scenarios, stuck in Ireland. So because of the time difference and the training schedules the Graham had, that had to. It was a real hard task, to allocate a slot for him at a good time to get Graham online. But finally, we made it happen. And during those two shows between Tab Watmore and Graham Ford, must say big thank you to Asanka Gurusingha for coming on the show as a special guest. Thank you, Gura, if you're listening out there. And Gura's, I think the eldest daughter got married recently. All the best to you, Gura. Congratulations to the parents. That was great to see you, the children growing up and, just taking the next step. You've been a great father, great ambassador to Sri Lanka. And thank you for being on the show. So was Kaushal Silva, little Kawa, as we all know. He gave Graham Ford, his former coach, a pleasant surprise coming on the show. That was great. And it was excellent. And I can see Lalit Gunaratna joining the show. I must mention Lalitaiya's name. He's one guy who has always have inspired me, have supported me throughout these 12 months. I don't think he has missed a single show. Thank you, Lalitaiya. Just being a part of it. It is. In a way, it's unique. It's a unique program. That how it all started. As I mentioned earlier, that it was all was done in great fun. Never thought that this would go all this way. 12 months down the line, I'm still talking and still learning and still mastering the subject. It's a new art. I have never done this before, and still a long way to go. But it's absolute pleasure. Getting in front of a camera and talking to the world, and people joining from all over the world, and having got to meet people like Deepa, whom I have never knew in my life. Hopefully, I can get Deepa back. Deepa, you're back on. Have you sorted your technical issues over there?
Yes. So far, seems okay.
Can you see me now after 12 months? Could you see me?
Yes. Finally. So you can see the show live. And It's a funny story, Deepa. How
you came on so many episodes of mine, and you were operating absolutely blindly, and that you had no clue what's going on, during the show, but still you batted on like absolute pro. That it's amazing. That I don't know how you did it, Deepa.
I just followed your lead and your voice, Charit.
Amazing, amazing. So how are things? How are things in Malaysia? I just the other day I saw that you guys also just going through a bit of a hard time.
Yeah, it's a bit serious here in the sense that Malaysia has 660 new cases so far, but over the past few days, and unfortunately 4 deaths, and one baby also passed away because of
Oh,
COVID. And a lot of areas in Kuala Lumpur, the capital, and Selangor and the surrounding states are under conditional lockdown. That means most of the social aspects like malls, sports areas are all, under serious lockdown. So there's limited operating hours. So the economy aspect is still running. A lot of the businesses are still open, but people need special passes. The same thing is happening in Sabah, which is in the east of Malaysia, where there are also lots of COVID cases that rise really rapidly within these past few weeks. So few of the states that have a lot of population, COVID cases are going high.
it's very sad to hear that we also we are going through a similar scenario. I think it's probably the third wave that has hit the country. That we all believe that there is no community spread, but not. It appears that it's not the case. That we spoke about in length, Deepa. I think you were on that show when Dr. Romeo
Yeah.
spoke about it. It said that we all need to adopt a holistic approach. How we're going to go about, because it's very obvious at the moment that the virus is not going to go away easily, and there is no sign of vaccine coming along in the near future. That don't you think that the time has come? I don't know the mortality rate in Malaysia, but it seems that that thank God, or whoever just that mortality rate that that in Sri Lanka is it's I would say that it's manageable. I wouldn't say negligible. I mean, we had several victims, but the numbers are not that great. I don't know whether it's a different strand of COVID that is going around in this part of the world, and it's a different strand anywhere else. Do you reckon that you said something very very sad, that a kid passing away, and
Yeah.
initially it never affected the kids. So you reckon that this virus is mutating at the moment? It's strange the way it's behaving.
It's so erratic, Charit, and we really don't know what's happening because there's so many strains. As you know, as the reports are coming, the viruses have mutated, and viruses do because they evolve and move fast. So this is the news, and that's what we are seeing, because a lot of people thought that children are safe, but then I think we just need to be careful. Even it's good for the kids to wear protective mask and those kind of things.
Well, it's sad, that's exactly as I said, that that we all believe that the kids are that they have nothing to worry, and that they are spared during this pandemic. It's not the case. It seems like that, as I said, it appears that the virus itself is mutating, and there's one step ahead than we humans, that which is a worrying factor. Like every time we take one step, the virus is two steps ahead of us, which is a worrying factor. And then hopefully that we can control it. And just quickly, Manix, big thank to you, mate. That without your help, that we would not have come all this way. And it's you who, I think Manix is the one who interviewed Deepa to me, and being a part of the show. So thank you, Manix, being a part of it. And I'm sure Deepa too is equally grateful for you being there. Errol, greetings here from Canada. Good to have you, mate. Yes, I mentioned at the start, that I took up this, Deepa, I took up this challenge. It's called the Sober October, basically. That's the that's a challenge that is going around, started by
Okay.
few people. It's just not
Okay.
not me. There are thousands and hundreds and thousands of people have taken up the challenge. The challenge is to stay sober for 28 days during the month of October. That's water, tea, coffee. That's it. And
Okay.
hit the gym on a daily basis and see how tough you are, how far you could take it. That's humanly as possible, and stay without any alcoholic beverage. Not no beers, no wines, no nothing. Just simple drinks with no calories. It's been a hard 14 days, Deepa. That. But answer your question, Errol. Yes, I am pretty sober. I mentioned this at the start of the program that perhaps it's the first time that I'm alcohol free, absolutely sober. If you can see that I'm on this funny isotonic drinks. There's no alcohol in it. Just to keep me going. Callum Ranavira, hi, greetings from Malaysia. He's in Malaysia as well. Good to have
Ah,
you. I wonder what he's doing in Malaysia. The guy is he lives in Norway. I hope Callum is not stranded.
okay.
I hope he's not stranded somewhere in Malaysia. If you are, please give a shout to Deepa. I'm sure that Deepa would love to help you out. Just Deepa, Boa. I was talking to Boa a few days back,
Yeah.
and he's my fellow co-host along with you and Azlan.
Mhm.
The that you guys, that have been marvelous, being a part of this, whole journey. That uh, as usual, Boa, I was asking Boa, how come that New Zealand, that is one of the countries, and I know that you are not much of a rugby fan, it's not a big sport in Malaysia, but the other day they had this Bledisloe Cup, on Sunday, in Wellington, and it was a sellout crowd, massive. I don't know how many, 25,000 spectators watching the game, and that no mask, no nothing. They were watching the game, but the fact is that they are absolutely certain that there is no community spread. That how New Zealand controlled it. It's an amazing story. That if you ever get a chance, you should talk to Boa. We try and get him online, and Boa will explain it. Uh, will explain it much better than I do. That how truthful they were. That their governing body, their government, how they approached it. They the rulers the, took a back seat, and they allowed the scientists and the medical practitioners to go ahead and to get on with their job, and their contact tracing, and how they went into provinces, how they tested people, and they made sure absolutely they are virus free. New Zealand is one country that it's
Amazing. That's
amazing.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
And the whole approach, it was very scientific and holistic. I'm sure that that Goa said that they probably they will have, because they have also started the repatriation, the bringing people back who are stranded all over the world. So it's bound to happen that when people start coming back into the country, that the one mishap, and that it can fare off. Do you have a scenario where there are lots of Malaysians stranded in other countries, Deepa?
We had some cases, but most of them were, they able to come back in batches, especially students. So they were quarantined, in their quarantine center. But I'm glad to hear that from New Zealand, because when the lockdown happened, I think all of us were not sure which country was, doing the best thing and what were the best methods. So we heard a lot of good cases and examples coming up from New Zealand, and I'm finally glad to see that's bearing fruit after all these months. So, good kudos to New Zealand.
Absolutely, it's a brilliant story. That their leadership, and
Yeah.
how they handle the situation. Simply, I would say exemplary. That where everybody can take a cue of what they did. Perhaps, you look at New Zealand. The numbers are small relatively compared to Malaysia or Sri Lanka. That they can big country, few people, and it could be
Lots of sheep.
more sheep than less people. You said it. Yeah, exactly. 3 million people, 7 million sheep. Boa, if you're listening in. Yeah. Yeah, but it's amazing story, how they managed to contain it and to get along. Rochelle, are you sure? What, sure about what? That I'm not drinking. Yes, I'm certain. Yes, I'm absolutely alcohol free for the last 14 days. Body feels better. The mind feels better. Uh, I don't know about the soul. I think soul is a little depressed, frustrated, perhaps. So I'm not qualified to talk about the soul. But that's your area, Deepa. You are you are the holistic one. Deepa, few people to thank along the way. I think you met most of them. Uh, the co-host along with you, Carol was
Absolutely.
Carol
Wonderful
was
lady. What
yeah.
she's such an inspiration, and I hope she continues to do it, especially in times like this. We'll love to hear from her soon.
Yeah, Carol has her own show on Wednesdays called Wisdom
Oh,
Wednesdays. She's got a group of people that that she's hosting it, and some brilliant the academics comes along, and they talk of a lot of interesting subjects. They cover massive vast areas in their discussions. I wish Carol and her work that what she's doing all the very best. And so is Aslan had been very busy, and if I'm not mistaken that Aslan is doing a show right now. Aslan started a show called Podhub, and not Pornhub, by the way. It's a Podhub. Just
just to clarify.
yeah, just so he's doing great. So I talked to Aslan once in a way, and I think then you met Dulan,
Yes,
Kusal, and Bilal, the absolute professionals. When it comes to physiotherapy and
yes.
well-being, and they are nutritionists, and they are absolutely qualified people. uh, Great guys, they know their subject.
I
Deepa,
really like what they said, Charit, because
yeah,
some of the things that I learned was through the hard way over so many years, and these guys just brought the best, in such a short period of time. So I'm so glad to have them over because it's excellent advice, very holistic and very practical, very cutting edge, in terms of the stuff that they were sharing.
absolutely. That's the idea of the show, bringing all these professionals. And even I tend to believe there are certain myths in the areas that which I was not very sure of.
Yeah,
So it's coming, the hearing from the the horse's mouth. Absolutely, these from the pros. They made things very simple, as you said, cutting edge explanation, and say they got lots of people listening to them. They were simply amazing. I hope Dulan and Kusal all the very best. The boys are still in a lockdown scenario, unfortunately. Uh, so they are both in Victoria, as you perhaps that Victoria has yet to come out of the lockdown situation, that which is pretty sad, and not easy. And then I don't think you met this person, guy called Tarinder Pereira, Deepa. He's another coach based in UK. Absolutely, rag to riches story. How he came up, uh,
okay,
how he went to England, and that how he found his niche, and how he became a top-notch coach, and he's doing a fantastic job at the moment
wonderful. Yeah.
in UK. I just want to ask you, the in Malaysia, are the gyms open at the moment? How are they faring? They have they closed it down again?
Okay, so I need to check what's going on in KL, but from what I heard from the news, a lot of the social activities have been put to hold. They have stopped, but people are quite afraid to go to the gyms as well. So like even in my hometown in Penang, there's a lot of social distancing, and just people are afraid to go to the gym. So it really depends on which state you are in. So
Right.
states that have high population of COVID, there's a lot of restrictions, and states that have less COVID cases, then there's certain operations that SOP, standard operating procedures, that you need to do. So that's what we've
There's a
read.
bit of bad news coming. Errol is writing from Canada. He said, just breaking news. After 102 days COVID-free New Zealand, a few new cases were located, and they are on lockdown from tonight till Friday midnight. Which is, we just jumped the gun. It's sad news, isn't it? As we said that you take one step forward, two steps back. This whole virus scenario. This virus got a mind of its own. That's no one knows how it's behaving. It's weird. That's So there you go. So New Zealand too. back on a lockdown scenario, which is very sad to hear. That I hope that will not have a bearing on a big rugby game coming up on Sunday. So we are not alone, Deepa. Just that that it looks like the whole world is under the pump of this virus, unfortunately. Then I don't know whether you met Rex Clementine. He was a leading journalist. That you remember Rex? Yes, that he was an awesome guy, and it must tell you a funny story. During that, I have worked with Rex on numerous occasions, at different stages. On that, he's the time I was the team manager of the Sri Lanka team in charge of media. So it's the handling the match, handling the squad was easy, but when you go for the media, the conference, that's the hardest part. We had our issues of some of the boys don't, especially when you're overseas and you're talking to a foreign media, that some of the boys don't speak English fluently, so they had certain limitations and restrictions. So the manager has to act as the interpreter, and just to do to convert whatever the press asks. To tell you frankly, the media was never sure of me, because every time they ask the question, what I tell the boy is something different, and the answer that I tell the media something else. They simply had no trust in me. I was having a ball taking the media for a ride. That was so crazy scenario. So during this interview, I asked Rex, who is the best manager who I've ever worked with? And Rex, without batting an eyelid, he goes and says, "Sorry to disappoint you, manager. You're not the best manager I ever had." That straight up. I like what he said, that there was a guy called Ajit Jayasekara whom I took over. He was my senior, ex Air Force man, wonderful officer and gentleman. And I completely agree. Best manager I have seen, I think, Sri Lanka ever had, and I will never come anywhere near the Ajit in my entire life. Ramzan, video getting stuck, mate. Okay, probably that's something to do with the network. I think so far so good. I think on my side it works. See, to refresh your page, Nibras. Hopefully that will come back on. Ravi Di Soisa, thank you, son. Thanks for being there. Nice program. And then we move along. Deepa, I think some of the young Tiara De Silva. Remember that?
Excellent. Her work was really good, especially such a young lady, so bright and so inspiring. And I hope she continues to do her work, her good work.
Yeah, that I remember. I think once you were on the show with Boa, that while you were talking, we got the message that Tiara's dad passed away, and it was very unfortunate, and it was very heartbreaking. And I hope that Tiara has come to terms with her loss, and we wish Tiara the very best. And Tiara is also an activist in a different way, just like Rosanna. Just slight difference, that between the two. Rosanna is pretty aggressive, and Tiara is the way she does go about. That's two different subjects. They're but both activists. And then we had whole lot of entertainers on the show. I don't know whether I think you came on the show when Natasha was on.
No.
Natasha, no, you were not. Natasha was brilliant. She came along, and she's one of the leading divas in Sri Lanka, and she had been around for a long time. And if Natasha, if you're listening in, thank you very much for your participation, your time, and your wisdom. She's on a different path, just like you, Deepa. Just learning new things. And how's your martial arts coming along, by the way?
Oh, with COVID, things have been put on pause for a while, so let things settle a little bit better, and I will start learning, because the class is very interesting. The teacher teaches in a sari. So how do you do martial arts in a sari? That's a specialty.
Yeah, I saw you. That you're trying to do martial arts in a sari, which is quite admirable. That's that lots of ladies should, because in this part of the world, the ladies, they wear the sari very often than any other attire. And learning a bit of self-defense, it can come in handy. You don't know at what time,
Absolutely.
at what point. I think it's a must for everybody, just to learn and continue it. Deepa, you love it. Just learn a bit of MMA, jiu-jitsu if you can. Just
Okay, it'll
it,
be
it's
fun.
a it's a brilliant. Not a bit of boxing, just a bit of kickboxing to go along.
What
So
about
just
Krav Maga? I heard it's kind of a new thing.
no, it is not new. Krav Maga is not new. Deepa, Krav Maga has been there for a long time.
Okay.
But Israelis, the little I know, I'm not an expert in learning, and I love it. It's a vast subject like anything else. It's as I always say that the more you learn, the less you know. Krav Maga was originally invented in Israel, was taught to their special forces. That's the art that they use. Very effective in self-defense. That what people say very practical. You don't need to do any special kind of training. Any other art that you're talking about, especially boxing, it's very physical. That more than the technique itself, in order to just before you get into the ring, that the trainers put you through a lot of hard work. You need to get fit. That it's being a contact sport, and you need stamina. It's the different kind of stamina, that it's not like just like unlike in cricket that you need stamina, but it's not a contact sport. But when
Right.
it comes to contact sports, not only that you exhaust your energy being there dancing around, just weaving and spinning and parrying and all kinds of things. When you get hit, that onto when someone throws a punch onto your body, just you could see that if you have a camera with high density, your energy getting out of your body, just it's apart from you need special kind of training. That's so the Krav Maga did. They made it very simple and made it very effective, that barring any age limits, any age groups, that anybody can do it very effectively. That's what it is. And if you ever get a chance to learn that, go for it. That you will never go wrong. That's brilliant stuff. Yeah.
Charit, what about the local Sri Lankan martial arts? I saw people training, like punching the coconut tree and all that. I thought it was really interesting that you guys have this
Yeah.
old school.
I think every country has that. Every country has their own. Uh, what can I say? The own way of doing martial arts. Now I forget the name. What's it called? That the Sri Lanka, the Sinhalese name that that the what we had, and but that had been there for years. But during the colonial period, that what happens that when you are under someone's care, or under someone's when you becomes a colony, the people don't want you to practice martial arts, and like what happened in Shaolin and all those places, that that nobody wants. You are the people depress you. The people don't want to want you to have confidence, that to learn to learn the art. So I think as a result, that that it went underground. Is anybody listening out there? If you can tell me, because I have forgotten the name of the martial art, the local martial arts. It's called it slips my mind right now. It'll come to me. And if you can help me out, if you can tell me what it is, it's brilliant. But that's it's not only that that's not only that they use a lot of weapons. That in the whole process, it's massive, it's big, it's just like kung fu and anything else. Now, say for an example, if you go to Thailand and your part of the world, Thai boxing or kickboxing is like almost a religion. You know, it's same like that. That it was a forgotten art which is being revived right now. I can see there are lots of young people taking up and doing martial arts, but that had been there for many years. It's a forgotten art that is coming into light, but pretty effective and could be deadly as well. That's what you want to know. Deepa, very quickly we move on to for our sponsors. I wouldn't call them sponsors. They were more like my well wishers. That who came on the show. That just to tell you at the start, I started this show at a time that it was a hard time for me. Deepa, I was just going through phases that I was working on and off, and most of the time not working than working, and then just wasting my time, just not doing much. When I started to do this show, That initially it was just straight up Facebook Live and just the putting the phone on a pod, and it was a bit of a dodgy pod which I had earlier. Then I managed to get a bit of a sophisticated one, and we had all sorts of technical issues. The pod going down, then calls coming through, and it's amazing. And then group of people came on board. They volunteered to purchase the software that I needed, the hardware I needed. That is amazing how things started happening. I never asked for it, I never dreamt about it, but it just came along, and just part of the whole package. And Amit, if he's listening out there, he was one of the first guys to come on board. And Amit Passala, that he called me out of nowhere, and he told me that I'm going to buy you the best camera that the market will have. He did that. Kapila, thanks for being on the show. Kapila is my Wushu guru. And Kapila, if you know that what was the local martial arts called, please put it on the comments line, that I would love to hear. Kapila is a great coach. That he's the national coach for Wushu.
Wushu, wow, okay.
Yeah, and this guy is deadly. And I started the little bit of martial arts. I know the Kapila is my guru. Great to have Kapila on the show. I hope Kapila is listening, that he can tell me what's it called. I think it's called Gum something. Gum is village. That's anyway, it'll come to my mind. And Amit was one of the first guys to help me out, and then Jai was another, and that those guys came on board initially. And then you could see on top of, if you can, on the screen, Paradise Travels. That guy had been right along. He's the one who helped me. And sometimes, when I tell him, Deepa, that I don't want to go along with this show, it's too much work, I'm getting bored, and I had enough, he always encouraged me, kept me going. Unfortunately, the travel industry is struggling.
Yeah.
It's all over the world. It's just not only in Sri Lanka, not only in England, not only in UK, not only Malaysia, all around the world, that the travel trade is absolutely, the guys have nowhere to go. And Dash Gunawardana, he was my biggest sponsor, my biggest well-wisher. I hope Dash is doing well. I haven't heard from Dash for a while, and I wish him nothing but the very best. I hope there will be a revival of the travel and the hospitality industry, along with the entertainment industry. And all those guys who came on, Sohan, Corinne, and all those guys who are on my show. By the way, Deepa, how is your uncle and auntie doing? I almost forgot to thank these two people. The
Ratnams. Rajesh Ratnam.
Yes, how's their show going?
Oh, they're good. A lot of classes have gone online, so their university classes have gone online. Yeah, I think that's how they're just adapting the whole university, and I'm very happy for them. Yeah.
Yep, great stuff. Please give my regards to them. And so that's Dash and Paradise Travels. Then Te Wine, that's how it's pronounced. That's Rohan Abesekara, who is based in USA. I hope Rohan's doing okay, and he's into tea imports. So I think one of the trades that it's doing well at the moment, perhaps, is the tea exports. The tea exports and the garments, those are a couple of industries that were doing well. I hope they will continue to do well. By the way, I got the names. That someone just texted to me, Deepa. It's called Angampura.
Okay, Angampura.
Yep, that's the name of the martial arts. That's the local martial art that being practiced by the authentic Sri Lankans, who knew what it is. Absolutely deadly, just like Krav Maga. That's absolutely brilliant.
I've seen the training; it's intense. Some of the photos, and
brilliant.
So much time with flexibility and like yoga and strength and flexibility. So
it is all martial arts. It's a whole, it's like everything else. It's like all body, mind, and soul. All three put together. There are no shortcuts. That's how it is. Callum, just for being on. Thanks for being on the show, mate. Before you leave, if you can tell us which part of Malaysia you live in, probably Deepa will look you up. That if you can hear me. Then Ron Abesekara to the guy based in Kenya, who is Juan Fernando Mylene Corporation. He's an amazing guy. That he also that when his business started suffering, Deepa, he started manufacturing beds for COVID
Wow.
with a built-in ventilator. He
Wow.
made things very simple, and that's the kind of flexibility that people needs to adopt these days. To move on and to adaptability and do something that's to stay alive. Just if you just go on to stick to one trade, then I don't know. I mean, it can happen to me at the moment, Deepa, that we have stopped training, and that indefinitely. We don't know when we'll get back to grounds and when we'll start training, which is very hard to to all the fits and starts. It's not an easy thing. That Kalum Ranavir, okay, he's there. He says Kota Kinabalu Sabah. Do you know where it is, Deepa?
Oh yes, that's the height of where the COVID is right now. But I hope he's safe. I hope he's safe.
Kalum, did you hear that, mate? If you heard what she said, that please stay safe. That Deepa reckons that it's a dodgy area. That they're full of COVID. So stay safe, mate. And I just don't know what he's doing. That in Malaysia. That, as I said, that he's from Norway, but I wish him well. Hopefully he'll be okay. Well, Dilanta, good to have you on the show, mate. There are lots of guys from Canada joining, listening to us. Martial arts origin is from our nation, dude. Oh my God. Yeah, here we go. Deepa, must tell you a funny story, that when it comes to Sri Lankans, well, we believe that we have a very rich history, heritage, 2,500 years. We go back and, the things were happening, which is true, undeniable, that, the lots of things happened 2,500 years ago. And people believe that we were the first to invent aircraft, invent this, invent that. And now, according to Dilanta, the martial arts originated in Sri Lanka. Good on you, mate. I just don't know. I think, that, the martial arts also evolved like everything else in this world. That I wouldn't say that, that it started in Sri Lanka, I suppose. Going back to India, I think if you look at Bhagavad Gita, I think, it is 5,000 years old history that it's amazing. There are lots of things happen in that part of the world, that we need to have respect when it comes to all these things, and we should not be judgmental, put tags and say everything started here, which I don't know if it started all well and good, which I have my doubts.
I think in Kerala there's Silat Bharatam. I think they have their own. I think each country has their own martial arts. It evolved from South India and other parts of the world. This part of the world,
Yeah, and Kalum says, yes, I'm safe. Cannot leave here. So obviously, Kalum is stranded. As I imagined, and as I said, training has nothing to do with COVID. What training, Dilanta? Just if you can be a little more specific. Maldi Silva, good to have you on the show. Charit, thank you for the encouragement. Always, great to have you. And just to wind up, so it's Juan Fernando, it's Mylene Corporation from Kenya. That's is another sponsor, who got me going. And I hope if Juan is listening, I wish him well. I hope his hospital bed business has taken off. And it's
very
amazing.
Innovative, Charit. Very innovative. How he just adapts so quickly and came up with that invention.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, this is what I'm saying. People got to be smart at times like this. Just and another thing that I have noticed in Sri Lanka, I don't know in your part of the world, Deepa, that most people who are in the travel trade, just like Dash, that who have absolutely lost their business, and people they have closed their establishments down. They have gone into to culinary business. They are all into cooking. You would love that, and if you see that, if you go on Facebook, that you see people making all kinds of delicacies and all kinds of dishes, and that it's a new area that people have started working on. Deepa, what have you been doing? Just you were out of town. You just got back.
Yeah, I'm studying my master's. I'm doing my MBA, and I was on my way back to Penang, which is my hometown, and then the government announced another lockdown. So I don't think I can go back to Kuala Lumpur for now. But
Wow.
nonetheless, classes are going online. So I'm lucky that I managed to, still get my classes online. So yeah,
Wish you
that's what I
well.
think.
Yeah, and then then I have thinking I have covered most of them, and then partners in crime. I would say I would like to mention these guys as my partners. When I first started, is John Mullis. Yeah, Dommy had been absolutely brilliant. He was my technical man because I had no idea, how to get about. Dommy was there at the start. I think he was there the first three shows, and he had to come off work early to set things up and keep me going. Thank you, Dommy, for everything, and Marina, and she was like more like my director of the show. She used to keep a board at the back and just to guide me. Don't say this, don't say that. So, answer this, answer that. That's how it was a pretty amazing journey. Thank you, Marina, if you are listening in. And Harry Gangeshan, he got me a lot of stuff from Dubai. He worked tirelessly to get the show going. And there's a guy called Sujit Fernando. The first three shows he covered with his crew, and it was, I think, Sujit has his own YouTube channel. And good
Okay.
luck to you, Sujit, wherever you are.
What's his
And
channel about, Chari? Sujit's channel?
um, good question, Deepa. It's a sports channel,
Okay.
and he was also like he had a fantastic magazine where he interviewed people, and an
That's
amazing collection of photographs, and going back history, lots of things in that. He started. I don't know how Sujit is doing at the moment. I have not spoken to Sujit for a while because Deepak, lots of people who embarked on various projects, everything came to a standstill with these lockdowns and sports not happening, and people's investments, all their projections and plans, hopes and dreams, everything came to a standstill. That's the saddest part about this, the whole pandemic, and people are aimless, lost their focus. So only shows like this, their participation, and just to keep them going, give them hope. That's all as humans we can do at the moment. What do you think, Deepa?
absolutely. I think people had their hopes high again when the COVID cases dropped. And then again, when there's a lockdown announced, I think people felt kind of down and sad. So I think we really need to focus on something to keep us going. It's not easy, but I think we should hold on to something, some positive energy.
You're right. Dilanta is still on the martial arts, that on the subject, martial arts and dragon boating with different names, originated in Kerala, which has a rich history. Yeah, there you go. And yes, we agree, outdoor training does, yeah, very rarely spread COVID. Yes, yeah, outdoor training, it doesn't, the AI is clear, and going to a park, going for a run, going for a jog, going for a, whatever, it's not going to, you're not going to contact COVID by going to an open park. But the only time that you can get infected by contact, or just simply being stupid, you expose yourself, you talk to somebody without a mask, or just unnecessary exposure can lead into trouble. So the best thing is to stay out of trouble. But training in isolation, or in
Mm.
uh, keeping your distance, and even a group training, that we have done a couple of training sessions like that unfortunately what happens that I'm telling you with the first hand experience, that you have a group of young blokes, 10 people training and doing outdoor training. Suddenly you get a break, you forget everything, and everybody comes to a huddle. now
Yeah.
now that's where the problem is, that the guys don't realize where the danger is. And if you can keep your distance and do your training, that is absolutely fine. I agree with you. Yes. And Deepa, just to uh, and without knowing that we have spoken for almost an hour, and before we say goodbye, and on this, which I would like to call my Thanksgiving show on this special night, the special. Um I had some special guests, during the show. Siobhan Daniel, absolutely brilliant.